A woodworker's journey is made possible by the generous support of people like you. Please go to our Patreon page at www.patreon.com/AELLC to become a friend of the show. Without you, we would not be able to create this fine program. Thank you, and I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Baruch Hashem, and welcome to A Woodworker's Journey. Today, I'm going to show you how I set up my SawStop Jobsite Saw Pro. This is not a sponsored video. SawStop doesn't even know I exist. The table saw was a gift to me from my father. It took me about 20 minutes to set up, but don't worry, I did edit this video down because I didn't think you watching me read instructions made for riveting content. So, let's get started. Okay, here I am. I am getting the instructions out here. They actually have some really good instructions by SawStop. And I'm one of those weird people that actually likes to read the instructions. So here I am taking a look at it, and it flips out. It has great pictures and some great details. I highly recommend reading the instructions beforehand. They do a very good job. So this is my first attempt at trying to get the SawStop open and set up. Obviously it did not go up to my waist, and so I'm trying to figure out what I am doing wrong here. So I do it, and here comes attempt number 2. As I notice, it's got the foot thing. Again, it's not really releasing like I had planned for it to release. So here we go. Let's see if third time is the charm. I click on it, and here we go. All right. So third time I was able to take care of it like I wanted to, and it is the right height. But I noticed something's wrong here. If I'm going to stand where I'm standing there and use it, I realize that the table saw is in the wrong place. I need to switch it around. So here I am. I'm going through the fun machinations of moving this over, turning it around so that it is in the proper way for me to actually use it, because that's how I want to use it, is standing right there. So now I'm walking off the camera, and I'm getting a very long level. Obviously, you need to try and make sure that the saw is level, and luckily it looks like the garage is level as well. So I'm doing multiple checks, and it looks good. It's level. I guess I'm lucky to have it in a location where my garage is level. So now I'm going to check to make sure that all of the equipment is moving properly. Previously, I had already removed all of the shipping items that were there to make sure that the auger and the saw and all that stayed in place while shipping. So I had actually taken care of that earlier when I first unboxed it. So you can see here that the saw has freedom of movement for the full bevel there. You can see it from the dust port in the back that I moved it up and down. So one of the things I also noticed is that the riving knife, which I'm touching there, right there, was actually already installed in the SawStop. So if anyone were to unpackage it and start to use it immediately, the riving knife is already installed inside the blade. Here I'm going to raise up the blade here to make sure that it goes all the way to the top. And you can see the riving knife is already installed, and it goes all the way up, and it goes all the way down. Now the table actually expands here. And you can see me expanding it. Not only does it expand, and here I'm actually showing the latch that's located that both locks and unlocks the table, but not only does it expand open here, as you're about to see, but you'll also notice a little black box underneath the table. Now that black box has some good instructions and items to know about how the system works, but it is also the carrier for the miter gauge that it comes with. So you can store it in there, and it also has the blade guard as well for dust collection. Now that plastic part has plastic wrapped around it to ensure that it is properly. So here I am taking my knife out, and I am taking the plastic off of the hood. Really, really good plastic there. And of course I'm looking up at the camera to make sure that I am still able, that I'm still recording. I do that a couple of times because I'm actually recording this on my Galaxy, my Samsung Galaxy cell phone, because I hadn't found my recording camera yet. So here I am taking the plate off, and I'm going to raise the blade up. Really easy to do with the SawStop. And you can see the little red tab that I lift up, and that is how you remove the riving knife. And you put that aside, and then you can see the blade guard gets installed. It goes over where the riving knife is. Also notice the kickback blades in the back. I'll be mentioning that in my outro. Those are pretty sharp, and they're really good for ensuring that kickback is prevented. So I install the plate back in. And it's good to go. And of course you can put the blade all the way down. You'll notice those kickback blades go all the way up, and then they come back down and up again. Pretty sharp. So the writhing knife, if you take it out, also gets stored in that storage area here. You can see that there's a location for that. And then you can put the miter gauge back in here and close it back up. Okay, so now I'm closing up the table so that I can get access to some of the items that are stored on the right-hand side. If you see over there on the right of the SawStop, there's a couple of items that are stored on the right. One of them is a push stick. It's one of those plastic ones. I doubt I'll be using the plastic ones. I've heard sometimes that they can break on me, so I'll use a wooden one. And there, stored on the right, is the rip fence. So here I am. I'm going to install the rip fence onto the SawStop. And it's got a nice little window there for the ruler, and it fits nice and snug onto the table. It moves back and forth pretty freely. Looks pretty good there. See the little red tab that locks it in. Not a lot of flex on that fence there, which is great. You can see here the lock. When the table opens up and the fence is locked, the fence goes with the table. You can unlock it, and it will go the length of that expansion there, which is good, and locks tight. Now I notice over here a little ledge will come out of the rip fence. Now that ledge is level with the table. So if you have a piece of wood that expands over the hole there, it will be level with the table. And then that ledge then goes back inside. So now I'm going to take my Swanson speed square, and I'm going to make sure that the fence is 90 degrees to the table. It's always important to calibrate this to make sure the proper, put the blade up to make sure the blade is also 90 degrees. I checked it again with my combo square, just double checking. Here you can see the fence is 90 degrees. You don't see any light there. And then also I do the same thing with the blade to ensure that the blade is also 90 degrees. So that came straight from the shop. Everything was really, really good. So here I am putting the blade guard back in. I struggle with this a little bit. Obviously, I'm still new to this, so I'm still trying to figure out how to do it, but I want to make sure it's seated correctly and locked. Put the plate back in. Clean off the table, put the square in the direction of the table, and then smile.
I hope you enjoyed that setup video. You will notice that I kept the blade guard installed on the table saw when I finished setting it up. I left it there to remind me to use it. But the anti-kickback blades on the back stand out when the saw blade is retracted. Those anti-kickback blades are very sharp, and I have little ones that have difficulty resisting touching things. So I have to remove the blade guard when I'm not in the shop so no one gets hurt. Well, that's all I have for today. I am so happy that you have decided to come along with me on this journey. Thank you, and happy woodworking.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Please tell your friends about us. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and like and comment on this video. A Woodworker's Journey is brought to you by the generous support of people like you. You can support this program by going to our Patreon page at www.patreon.com/AELLC to become a friend of the show. We could not do this without you. Thank you for your time, and I hope you found today's episode entertaining.